What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to a hot episode of Liquid Kernedge. The temperatures are climbing, my friend.
I know. It's nice to have a pool. We have a thermometer in the pool now. It's 88 degrees in the pool, so it's perfect.
Wasn't it 2 or 3 episodes ago, that I was bitching about how cold and windy it was and how I was waiting for the heat? Now it's like bipolar, man. They turn on the heater, and we're in Arizona again.
I know. That's how it works, though. It's, you bitch and complain, and then, be careful what you wish for, buddy.
Oh, I agree. You just might get it, and it is kicking me in the ass right now.
Good.
But you know what, though? Summertime's here. That means it's time for the pool, time for the lake, hikes, all those adventures outside. That's what you want,
In my opinion, you need to have a little butt whooping every once in a while.
Oh, I think so, man. And our gym has no air conditioning. It's basically an old garage, so when it gets hot like this, it's hotter inside than it is out. So if you don't have the electrolytes, it kills you.
Oh, dude, geez, sounds pretty rough.
It has not been fun, I can tell you that much. And I took pretty much the first half of the year off. I was going to an air-conditioned gym, a climate-controlled gym. You know how that goes?
Okay.
It makes you soft is what it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to mentally get back into that groove of the heat, too. And that's just a whole nother beast on itself,
I'm with you.
So, other than that, it's been all right. We want to hear how you guys beat the heat. Hit us up on Liquid Kernedge at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Do you want to beat the heat with Tom in the pool in Phoenix? Nah, neither do we. But if you want to see what it'd be like, hit him up at liquid_EP at Twitter and Instagram. He's not going to answer those. He's not. I think it would freak him out.
Yeah, it would be. Well, unless you were really, really, really attractive.
That's true. Then he might freak you out. So
yeah. So
you never know.
You never know.
He has a couple of beers, man. He gets very suave. So watch out, ladies. He's got a deceptive charm about him. I do want to touch on a sad note. I know in our last show we did discuss a little girl here in Kingman, little Natalie, that was battling cancer, and the whole community rallied behind. Sadly, she did pass away this weekend, so we do want to send our condolences out to her family. It was a hard-fought battle, but she has her wings now.
I would like to thank all of our listeners, especially for pushing the episode out to people that I really appreciate it. I when I heard the news, I was just like, I can't believe we just had that conversation last week, and this is the outcome. It's obvious. Community, and hopefully the Liquid Kernedge community as well, because it's rough.
Yeah, and if you shared this episode out to people, we do appreciate that too. It's the more awareness we can raise about child cancer is even on a small level is something that we would like to do. So thank you everybody for listening, and again, our condolences to the family. Now on with the show. We were discussing topics before we went on the air tonight, and you had a good one. So,
well, it got me thinking because, I obviously have a close relationship with my mom, and I feel like, if some point it might be a possibility where, because she is a single person and doesn't really have any brothers or sisters, it's very possible that she might live with. Got that was for the second master suite that is part of the house. So if we had a relative or loved one live with us, they had their own place and they had their own separation. That being said, I also recognize that Noreen and I live might be different than a house guest who stays with an exorbitant amount of time. So again, etiquette for long-term house guests, longer than, let's say, a week. Are there rules and etiquette as the guest and as the host that we should all live by?
Well, I think first and foremost, if it's a long term, you have to define, is it an actual house guest or are they potential roommates at that point? Because if your mom were to move in with you, she essentially becomes a roommate at that point.
Okay, so that's the thing, is usually it's going to be a relationship between a parent, child, brother, sister, familial. And we can talk about that in great length. But what if it's just, hey, I just got kicked out of my apartment and I don't have a place to stay. Can I stay with you for a couple months?
Oh, yeah. I've had a couple scenarios like that in my time. over the last few years, and it's tricky, man. It is really tricky because you wanna help out your friends, but at the same time you hope they respect your space, and it's a balance. It's there's no one clear easy path to it.
Well, about it, some of the hiccups that come with having a long-term roommate. For example, if you count him as a roommate, how much rent do you take from him or her?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I would think if they have full run of the house and everything, and they're using all the same utilities, I would say half.
So if I was going to stay with you for 3 weeks while my house was being built, you would charge me half a month?
No, then you just stay. That's a house guest, not a roommate. You're asking about roommates.
Well, but that's the thing is that okay, let's start with this then. What constitutes a temporary versus a long-term stay?
Temporary is, hey, my house is being renovated, or hey, my significant other kicked me out for a few days. I mean, something like that. Tom, for a note, those are not my dogs. Those are Jason's. I think that defines roommate versus long-term guest. A roommate has their own room. They have stuff on the walls. You probably give your own key to a house guest anyway, but they come and go as they please, and they're paying you, and actually you've discussed a rent.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is a roommate usually is not someone that you know, right? I mean, for the most part, most roommates are going to be, hey, some stranger, or hey, I need a place to stay, for the next couple months as a roommate. I mean, there's no guarantee that that's someone that you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's mostly like college. Well, I guess even nowadays with the interwebs being what it is and people renting out rooms, it's hard to really say if you know that person or not. A lot more times than not, you're out. You probably don't know that person.
So, if you get a roommate, you're probably going to have a contract, right?
I've never actually had a contract with them. It's always been a gentleman's agreement.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I basically knew them. The one time I did know him, we were young and dumb, and the kid was making more money than he knew what to do with. So I didn't think too much about it.
Okay.
Okay. That's just me. But
that's just you. That's just you. Okay.
Just me. But I think if you're a long-term guest, I think you have to respect, or not a long-term guest, but if you're just I don't know, what was it? A guest that's staying for a few weeks or whatnot, you respect their space and like their stuff. You don't eat all the things in their fridge, even when they say, "Hey, mi casa es su casa." Yeah, just because they say it doesn't mean it's necessarily true, though.
So you feel like if someone comes into your house and you tell them mi casa su casa, you don't really mean mi casa su casa. You mean, hey, come and go as you please, but follow my rules.
Well, I think anyone that knows me knows I like to eat and don't touch my food. So I think that's something I'd have to lay out with myself is just don't touch my fucking food.
So don't touch my fucking food. Don't use my toothbrush. I mean, all the general rules, right?
Those are basic things to me. I mean, that to me, as long as they respect that, is fine. And even when you're my roommate, that's still, you don't touch my food, I won't touch yours. If there's something that God bought mutually randomly, then if you eat the last one, replace it. But those are things like as roommates, you kind of figure out over time once you find your groove.
So so let's say that you are the person staying at someone's house.
Uh-huh.
Do you have some instant rules or instant guidelines that you use like I'm a guest in your home, so this is what I would probably do as your guest? Like, do you have rules, or do you just say, hey, if I'm a guest at someone else's house, anything goes?
No, I have my own rules for that too.
Okay, so what are some of your rules that you use as a guideline? Is I'm a guest, so I'm going to do this.
I try to keep everything as neat as possible. I help out, if the dishes need to be unloaded or the trash needs to be taken out. You just do your part around the house. If you're helping contribute, then it's not so bad.
Right.
It's just little things like that. Like I don't want them to think I'm a burden by being there.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and that's why when I hear some of these horror stories about like people staying in someone's house but trashing it or not cleaning up after themselves, I get kind of like, what kind of person are you that you would like not even contemplate that, okay, if I'm in your house, I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to keep the noise down. If I'm going to do anything that is going to be inappropriate, I'm going to be inappropriate in my own bedroom.
Yeah.
And,
okay. Let me ask you this
then.
Let me just throw this out there. So if you're a guest in the house or a roommate in the house, what about climate control? Because here in Arizona in the summertime, it gets rather warmish. And those of us with our names on the utility bills get a little perturbed when the electricity goes to three high digits, because someone has to run the cooler at a certain temperature, so it's running.
Oh, see, that's a tough one. Like now on a short weekend, obviously it wouldn't matter. But if I was like, let's say I was going to be at your house for 3 weeks and you loved keeping your house at 80 because you didn't want to have a high electric bill,
mm-hmm.
I would have to really consider whether or not that would be okay for me.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, me personally, I like it cooler in a house. And if I'm paying for it, I don't mind keeping it cooler. I have to respect that this is your.
Yeah.
This is your house. Do you mind if I turn? I guess, but yeah. Oh man, that's a tough. See, I would be. That's one of my rules. Like when I'm a guest in someone's house, whatever they dictate, by choosing to live with them, I choose their rules.
Yeah, and I think in that case, where if you want to offer, like, hey man, since I'm staying for a couple weeks, I know you like it at this temperature, but I like it cooler, I'll pay for half the electricity this month. I think that's perfectly acceptable too, if you know that their temperature choices are much different than yours.
Now, have you ever had a roommate that brought women over or men over to the house?
Yes.
Does that play into any sort of like rule breaking, bringing?
No, I don't. It never broke any rules as far as that goes. But I did prefer that if they weren't there, their person they were dating wasn't there, and I did run into a problem with that.
Oh, see, yeah, that would be awkward. Oh, God.
It's one thing. Yeah, it's one thing if you've been dating. Well, I guess not even if you've been dating for a while, but I just don't. If you're dating somebody, if you're living with me and you're dating somebody, that's cool, man. I don't care. But if you're not here and your significant other is, that's kind of weird. That's just a random weird thing. I don't think that's not cool to me.
And what do you do?
You should respect whoever owns the house in this case, and not do that.
And what do you do if you don't like their significant other? Because I've had that happen before. Like I had a roommate, and his girlfriend was just, I did not like her at all. She was just one of these people that she and I just, for whatever reason, personalities just did not. We didn't get along. We didn't like each other. It was palpable.
I think in that case, for me, it's you've known me long enough to where if I don't like somebody, especially if I had a couple drinks, I don't really hold back.
No, you don't, buddy. You do not hold back when you have a couple drinks.
I just got to be me. What can I say? More times than not, they respect to go to the other person's place, or if they come here, they just go straight to the room. I'm going to get a lot of notes about sounding like a dick on this, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth, man. I've seen a lot of different people come and go, and I've helped a lot of different people throughout the years that have stayed with me temporarily and whatnot. And man, I try to be cool about it all, but sometimes you just have to draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that now we're talking about people who are slobs that come into your house, but what about the other way, where you're a neat freak and you come and you're staying with someone who's a slob?
Hey man, if you want to do my dishes, you go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you as long as, well, I don't know. I think at that point, if you're a neat freak and you got a slob friend, that's probably your last choice for someplace to stay.
Yeah, probably.
So...
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I don't know why. I just, when I hear some of the horror stories about, I have someone staying with me while they're getting on their feet, or I have someone staying with me. It's like, I always want to ask, well, how's it going? And invariably it's, oh my God, I can't wait till this person leaves. Like, I cannot wait until this person gets out of my house, because they're just, like they're slobs and they don't clean anything and they don't, they leave stuff around. And I was like, how could you do that to someone that you're staying with? I don't get that. But
yeah, it's a difficult. I mean, it's such a fine line too. It's just so freaking hard.
what's the longest that you've had someone who wasn't a roommate stay with you?
Who wasn't? Who wasn't a roommate?
Yeah,
So,
who wasn't just someone that said, "Hey, I need a place to stay for a while." What's the longest?
about a year.
Holy, you had someone stay with you for a year?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know him.
Oh, it's JP. Okay, well,
yeah. I mean, he didn't have much of a choice. He couldn't move in, but couldn't go back to his mom's, and he needed a job first. He couldn't charge him with no job, so yeah, I mean, he was a house guest, but he took care of everything, man. He was great.
Yeah, actually, I gotta admit, JP keeps a very clean house. I don't know if people know that about our intern JP, but he is very meticulous home. Like he keeps a very clean home. Everything's got a place, and everything's in its place. And
yeah, and I keep my home clean, but it's not like it's guy. I could use a deep clean right now, but he deep cleans his house, and he's he was great, man. He had his stuff, and he helped out when necessary, and yeah, he did his laundry at his mom's, ate at his mom's the entire time. So it was kind of a unique situation, but no, it worked out pretty well for a year.
And did you guys just
we're still like brothers 2 years later, so that should say a lot.
Well, I was gonna say you didn't have to force him out. He got a house and then he left.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, that would be hard too, because that's like the nightmare situation is you can't get rid of the person.
Yeah. Right.
Or it becomes very awkward, saying, hey, by the way, not only do you have to leave, but our friendship is ruined.
I did have one years ago that ended badly, and they told me I think in June that they're leaving in October, and it could not come fast enough after a certain point.
God,
it's like they're it just got toxic, and it got stupid. And then, looking back, it was immature on probably both our parts, but it's like, you don't have to wait till October. You can fucking leave now.
Yeah, exactly. Are you sure? Here, I'll pay you the $500 to get the hell out of my apartment or my house.
Exactly. But, you live and learn, and I'm perfectly content living by myself. And I've had a few opportunities to offer my house, my front room, to someone that needs it over the last few months. And I've thought twice about it both those times. And I'm glad I did, because, I like being their friend, and I don't think I'd be their friend after watching some of the choices they made after I consider those offers,
Yeah. Well, you remember, I mean, all my friends offered me a place to stay when I was kind of on some rough times. And I chose not to, not necessarily because I thought our friendship would be ruined, or I just didn't feel like imposing on someone. I just felt like that, that's my own bugaboo. Like I didn't want to impose on someone, and make them feel like they have to throw their lives into a havoc to accommodate me. We have a friend here in Phoenix, and she had done one of those Big Brothers Big Sisters, and after 2 years she tried to move for I guess it was adoption, but basically she took this girl in, and made it basically this was her home. And for 2 or 3 years she tried to make a life with this girl and tried to make a connection, long lasting, like adoption. And we found out that, I guess, I don't know if they had a falling out or something, but she basically told the girl, hey, you've got to go. And now the aftermath is now there's tension between the girl and the woman. And I thought, man, there are some people that you could give them the world, give them everything they could possibly want, house, clothes, everything, and they'll still jack it up. They'll still mess it up.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And that's just human nature in some cases, though. People just don't know. They don't understand how big it is of some people to actually take the time to offer a piece of their privacy, a piece of their home. And they don't respect that. I think that comes with age and maturity, though, too,
Yeah, like this girl's only 16 or 17, but, I'm thinking, she's giving you a life lesson. Like when someone opens up their home to you, you have to respect that. And if they have rules,
respect the rules.
Swallow your pride and respect the rules. You're living in someone's house. respect the rules. And if they want you
Yeah.
home by 11, then be home by 11. If they figure, hey, you can't spend the whole summer sitting on your butt, why don't you get a job, and then get a job, or don't stay there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's respect the rules of the house and be proactive, man. I think that's the most important thing. Just it doesn't hurt to take out the trash, tidy up and make it look like you're not there, even when you're there in like the main living areas. I think that goes a long way in being able to extend your stay.
Yeah, I guess maybe it also depends, because I've always been kind of shy against people who to their kids said, well, this is my house, these are my rules. If you don't like it, then hit the road. Well, okay, make sure your rules are reasonable. Like don't make a sound. I don't know if that's a reasonable rule, or I don't want to, you're to be seen and not heard, or whatever rules. I guess it depends on what kind of rules someone's putting on someone, but when you're 13 years old, that's kind of tough. Either follow my rules or, get the hell out. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I follow the rules, even if they're not real or, nice or accommodating.
If you ask it of a 13-year-old, clearly you've never dealt with a teenager. So that is on them.
Now, did your parents just know? Like, I mean, were you and Tom basically, as soon as you graduated high school, you knew you were leaving, or did they say you could stay here as long as you want until you get on your feet?
We had a rule in our house, like we had to do time at the community college first, so a year and a half, 2 years before we transferred, because they didn't want to pay for the full university. I don't blame them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And quite frankly, the high school at the time we went to, it's an Arizona-based education, so we didn't really get a lot of college prep, and we would have been horrible, and it would have taken a whole lot longer to get out of college, just because they would have to re-taught us everything to be decent college students as far as study habits and whatnot, and so they wanted us to kind of grow up a little bit, go into community college, and then I left after a year and a half. He left after 2, and I think it made all the difference in the world.
So just having a couple extra years to kind of learn college a little bit, but your parents, if you had said, hey, I want to get a job and just work, that you could have stayed there for a while, or a job and work would have been like,
no,
you have to
go. All right, you can stay till you have enough money to get out, then you get the fuck out.
Okay, yeah.
If you're not going to school, you don't need to live here.
Yeah, because I think my parents were the same way. If I had stayed in Juneau, I think they would have been like, yeah, stay here, live rent free for a while, kind of get on your feet. But in my mind, I was like, no, I'm going off to college, gone, and really never, I came back for one summer, between my junior and senior year of college. And that was it. And I've never lived with my parents again.
Yeah. It's, we both came back after college to kind of start our careers and whatnot, which was fine, because I think we both lived there for a year separately. But, it's different at that point than when you're a kid, because now you're an adult living there, and you're coming and going as you please, and that was a whole different vibe, because of that. Yeah, I mean, it was cool going back home to kind of get on your feet and kind of figure out what you're going to do as an adult. But then it is more like a roommate or a guest situation, because you're not there permanently, and you're trying to get on your feet. So, you've got to buy their beer if you drink it, and their wine, and vice versa. And you just got to be courteous about things. You come and go.
Yeah, and I don't know about your parents, but my mom and Noreen's parents, I mean, they're the kind of people, like, when you're a guest in their house, they constantly want to, we'll take you out to cook you dinner, and we'll do all this for you. And I feel like, oh, no, I'm infringing on your space and your time. Let us cook your dinner. Let us take you out to dinner and do it. So yeah. It's a little different when you're in a situation where you can, you're not there to mooch off someone. So you can just kind of, I'm here to enjoy your time and your company. I respect your rules because, I'm just here to see you, versus like some of these people. It's like, hey, Mom, you cook meatloaf. I want meatloaf, Mom. Mom, make the meatloaf.
Yeah. Mom, make the meatloaf.
That's right.
Good old Chaz from the Wedding Crashers, for those that don't know what that is. The legend himself. Yeah, I know everyone varies, and I think that's the moral of this conversation here is, if you're going to stay with somebody either as a guest or as a roommate, make sure you have a good feel of who they are as a person, and try to respect the boundaries. especially if it's not your house. If you're going to move in with somebody that actually owns the house, I think you have a lot less leeway.
Yeah.
Because that person's paying a mortgage on that, and they're the ones with the names on all the bills.
I think that's a big thing too. If you're going to pay, if you're paying, then establish what's acceptable and what's not for both people. Like some people use it as, hey, now we're roommates. Now we're going to be best buds. We're going to hang out all the time. Whoa. Time out, Sparky. If I want to stay in my room all day, I'm going to stay in my room. You come and go, I come and go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like just get those awkward conversation agreements out of the way now. Get them established day one. So who's paying what and where. That way, it saves you from an awkward conversation. Like, oh yeah, and I said we talk about it. Well, it's time to talk about it. You owe me this much. I mean, you should at least give the person an idea of how much they're going to pay. And if you're staying as a guest or a potential roommate, you are offering to pay.
I think another thing too is, be okay with saying, hey, you know what, this arrangement's not working for me, and find something else. I mean, I don't think either person should have to be locked into something because, oh, we're friends, so you get to stay for 4 years while I'm. If it's not working for you, if people are asking you to do more than you want to do, then leave. Yeah, and I would hate to lose a friendship over,
I think that built
or a relationship over finding out their true colors of, who they are as a roommate.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to find that out either. It's better to leave that a mystery and let that person have their space, and you have your own space too, so you can remain friends. And even after a while, you can probably get that friendship back. As soon as things kind of cool off.
About you, Scott, is I know that you said, hey, I'm moving to Phoenix and I've got to stay here for a couple months. If you stayed here, one, you'd be very tidy. Two, you'd be cooking a lot of meals for us, which we appreciate. And three, you'd be gone all the time because you're Mr. Cool. You're Mr. Hip.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's true. You do take a lot of pictures of your dogs.
How much time I spend at my house with my dogs. Yeah, well, I didn't say that, but
hey, no, people.
Thanks for calling me on that one. I appreciate it.
And they said, "Oh, Scott, you're so sweet." That was bad production. A second production on my part, so I apologize.
That's all right. So, I mean, someone up into that point of the show, people were trying to figure out who's the hero and who's the villain of the duo, and clearly,
out of 110 episodes, I had my throat be threatened to be punched many more times than you, dude.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think
that's
he's
true.
Afraid to try to throat punch because I'm much bigger than him.
I am dainty
and much stronger.
Hell, in our staff meeting, I got fired.
So I think you're an easier target.
Luckily, I was able to talk my way back onto the podcast, but that was close to being. It would have been Liquid Kern, and or Kern. It would have been Liquid Kern.
Yeah, and that's not nearly as fun. We lost our edge at that point.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah, you would have lost your edge, or there'd have been like a nationwide search. It was like an American Idol.
Well, just know that had I gotten fired from the podcast,
I don't know how well that would have gone.
You would have been my roommate. I would have had to live with you, buddy.
Well, that's good because if you had been fired, we had to go and start another podcast. Liquid Edge.
Oh man.
And
yeah, that's right. That's right.
I can't guarantee it would have been as great, but it would have been epic. I can tell you that much. So as we wrap up today's show. If you've had a horrible roommate or long-term guest experience, tell us about it. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Kernedge. If you want a chance to stay in the kill room at our EP Tom's house, it is creepy, I swear, and October is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Hit him up on Twitter and Instagram.
As always,
all
well
at
played,
Liquid
my friend. Well played.
EP.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. I try. I put some thought into it.
Well, we really appreciate everyone listening. Thank you so much. Our heartfelt sorrows and prayers out to the family of Natalie. You will be missed, I'm sure. That was Scott. I am Jason, and as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.